Start with an intro.
Sure.
Welcome to another episode of Ordinary People, where I'm interviewing Glafkos today, who has an extraordinary talent and skill that he's developed over his lifetime. And so we have the pleasure of getting to know him, of seeing what developed his music, his style, his tastes, and some of his expertise as well. So hopefully we can learn a little bit about everything in this short time. Glafkos, thank you so much.
Sure, thank you, Kevin.
When did you start playing?
When I was about 7 or 8, I guess about 8, when I started taking piano lessons.
So you started off with lessons?
Yeah. I started playing classical music as a child. But I was drawn to it right from the beginning. Basically, when I remember I put my hands on the piano and I realized it makes sounds, and those sounds connect to emotions and stuff. I was just hooked. And if you ask my mom, she would say, "Oh, I just took it from lessons." He sat down at the piano, he still didn't get up. That's what she always says. And that's how I feel. There's so much to explore musically at the piano. It came very natural.
Okay. Most people, when they start music, their parents force them to.
Right.
But it sounded like it was kind of the opposite for you.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, as soon as I experienced that, I knew I was hooked, as they say.
Yeah. Now, where did you grow up again?
I grew up in Cyprus,
Okay.
which is an island in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea. We're Greeks, basically. We speak Greek with a dialect. Beautiful Mediterranean Sea.
So you grew up spoiled over there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
With that.
So I'm curious about how your childhood, if there's anything, of course there's a natural attraction to the piano, but growing up and listening to some of your improv music, if you look back, what are some of the things that really shaped your style?
Well, I would say definitely jazz. Back when I was growing up, there wasn't much jazz over there. And then I was about, I think, 12 or 13, I don't remember, I listened to jazz on the radio and I realized what it was. And I was like, oh God, what is this, And actually I remember specifically that night I just couldn't sleep. I could not sleep, there was no way I could sleep. I just got up very early in the morning. I think I must have been out of school. It must have been summer or something. So first thing in the morning I went to the record stores and there were 2 record stores in Nicosia and Cyprus, and I was like, do you have jazz? I want to hear jazz. And I couldn't find even records. I couldn't find records, and I found like a couple of records that I kept playing over and over. And then I found out that BBC station had like jazz every Wednesday, I think from 11 to 11:30 or something like that. So I had to clear my schedule, every week just to hear that half an hour of jazz.
Well, what was the first jazz piece you heard? Do you remember?
I don't remember actually. One of the ones that I really was hooked up was Take 5, by Dave Brubeck. And I remember hearing that, I was just, But there's so much. One of the records that I found was an Errol Garner record, wonderful jazz pianist. And I was just completely hooked by his artistry and then there was a Stanley Tarleton record and Gene Harris was playing piano, and I remember just hearing that bluesy sound and trying to figure out, then I sound the piano, just this is the blues scale. Oh my goodness, So I figure out the blues scale by ear and started fooling around with that.
What do you think it is about jazz that draws you to it?
Definitely the rhythm. I think, and whatever that means. I mean, rhythm is a very spiritual thing. We can go in depth into that. But I think it was the rhythm, because I remember I was playing classical music, and I remember hearing the piano, and all of a sudden it just sounded like a different instrument. And I realized later, through my studies, that the primary thing that makes it sound like that is the rhythm. It's a very specific rhythm, not limited rhythm, but the rhythmic feeling of jazz is very, very unique. I think that was the first thing. And then secondly, of course, the improvisation part of it. It always came natural for me to improvise. It just, and I think it's a very natural thing to improvise. We're improvising right now. Right, we're just, there's no script or anything like that, we're discussing. So it's the same thing with music. I think sometimes people think that it's a complicated thing, that you have to learn harmony and you have to learn this and you have to do that. No, it's not.
But there is a part of that, because I feel like for a lot of people who don't pick it up and don't get hooked immediately, I think the majority of us who start any instrument, there's a lot of learning the basics of foundations and having to learn music theory before we actually get into the improv part.
Right. So, I think that's a big misconception.
Is it?
Yeah, I think it's a huge misconception. Of course, you develop and you learn about what you do, and you learn the theory of it, and then you expand your knowledge. But just to improvise, it's just very natural thing. And I see it, when I teach students, 5 years old, the first thing that I had them do is improvise, and it just comes very, very natural. It's our ideas of like, it has to be this and it has to be that, and you have to know harmony and you have to do this, that makes it
music
difficult.
theory and all the things, right?
Yeah, that should make it easy. It shouldn't make it difficult. Sometimes it works the other way around, and people get, I have to know this to do. No, you don't have to know anything. As long as you can do this, you can improvise. Basically. Yeah. So even when you don't know what note I just played, if you can just hear the sound. And you just let go, the sound is going to carry you through. That's my philosophy.